What is today's date?
12th?
Oh, thank you, guys.
5 seconds.
Good evening. Today is Thursday, October 12th, 2017. The time is 7:06 p.m. This is the monthly meeting of the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission. I would ask our members starting to my right to introduce themselves for tonight's meeting.
Ed Bell.
Kathy Chappell, Secretary.
Ron Moat, Vice President.
And I'm Donald Webb, the president. First thing up on our agenda tonight will be approval of last month's meeting minutes. I would ask if there are any corrections, additions, or if everybody's happy with them. If so, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make said motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The minutes have been approved. Next will be the paying of our bills for this previous month. The total amount of the bills is $16,882.87. The following people were paid. Bergman Enterprises, $590. That's the control of sewer water. Is that our landscaper?
Brent is, yeah.
Brenda, okay. And then we had Kevin Parsons. That was the landscape and architecture we were looking into on 465 in Emerson. That was $8,052.87. Tim Showalter, our videographer, and one program does our meetings, $225. Our sewer bill for $15. And then Crossroads Engineers, $8,000. That's part of the $95,000 we approved last year to cover the environmental and other engineering aspects to keep the trail at or ahead of schedule. Are there any questions on the bills? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve said bills.
I make a motion.
I'll
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll pay the bills. I didn't have a whole lot on the agenda. I guess if you want to give a report, Mr. Mayor, we'd love to hear from you.
Good evening. Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Project is 95% done. Ribbon cutting is October the 24th at 10:30 a.m. in front of the First Baptist Church. You are certainly welcome to attend. If the weather's bad, we will go inside the church and do it. But that's another project that the RDC, you guys were part of, and that's about a $1.3 million project that's totally paid for, and it's going to function real well. So kudos to you folks and council and some other folks for seeing that through. Work on the roundabout continues. We just finished up a big drainage project. We're getting ready to start another one over on North Bend. And Bob will have to do Title VI on when we enter into an agreement with the contractor. So could you provide that paperwork?
Yes, I can provide the language that'll be inserted in the contracts. Obviously, there's going to be the other parts of the contract. How much does it cost? When does it have to be done?
But that's, Wessler will do that if you just do the part that we've agreed to. And I'll get you the contact at Wessler.
Yeah, and I'll just let them know what they need to put as an insert.
Okay.
into those.
All of the water utility work that has been done is finished. 20th Street was the last main that passed, and it just passed a couple days ago, so pretty soon they're going to be paving, and that will all be done for the year. Amtrak, which is in a TIF district, they are doing a lot of upgrades to their property, one of them being fencing and drainage control, and over the next 3 or 4 years, they are supposedly going to invest between $20 and $25 million in the property to make that their Starship facility in the United States. So very happy about that. St. Francis, dismantling continues to go well. They're beginning to pull underground tanks out of the ground and cleaning that up. So work seems to be going well.
Excuse me, Dennis?
Yeah.
What would those underground tanks have contained?
Fuel oil.
Okay.
Yeah, they probably burned oil and coal back in the early days.
Because
There's-
my dad was in that business in the 50s and 60s, and it was amazing how many of those tanks leaked and created environmental problems that radiated out from service stations.
I've never seen an underground tank that didn't leak.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if that problem has been investigated, addressed? What-
There's 4 tanks that we're aware of, and they're required to mitigate that, so. But fuel oil is not a liquid that is regulated by the state of Indiana. It's not like diesel fuel and gasoline. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with it, but they're pulling them out, and we'll see where it goes.
Okay.
Don't know. I do know that the part of the greenway is going to go through there, and if the council approves it, I would like to construct a new police station and fire station on that property. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, which leads me to the next one that we're working on. We're doing appraisals on the sanitary sewer utility, and we should have those back by sometime in early November. And then if they come back like I think they're going to come back, then I will go into direct negotiations with a buyer. And then if we get what I think we should get out of the system, then I'll come back to the council and ask to sell the utility. And we'll see, they'll either say yes or no. So, that's, I just wanted to talk to you folks about that. That's really not an RDC issue, but it's just being transparent.
Right.
I'm working on these things. Shredding, next shredding event and appliance drop-off is November 4th. Veterans Day ceremony is November 11th at 11 a.m. on the steps of City Hall. Everyone is welcome to attend. Recently, the fire department purchased, I think, 35 portable radios, and the police department is in the process of ordering at least 23 portable radios. All of those radios will be paid for by check, no debt. And the police chief just ordered 10 cars, and those cars run about $35,000 apiece, and those will all be paid for by check. Indianapolis Power and Light will be doing a presentation to the city council at their next meeting concerning changing our lights over, street lights to LED. And it's a 3-year process, and it costs about $300,000 to do it, but it will save the city between $25,000 and $30,000 a year. So the council will after they hear the presentation and dwell on it, then they'll decide whether they want to make that investment or not. It will be up to them.
Dennis, is there any grants associated with LED? Because schools have been getting about half of their LED replacement cost paid for by a rebate program from some of the utility companies.
I'd have to ask IPL, maybe they can answer that. Maybe somebody can
I
answer.
don't know about IPL, but I know that a number of our schools.
Oh, that'd be great.
This group did it out on Emerson, and they got a rebate.
Of your payoff on your investment.
Yeah.
And, you know, the lights that you guys did out on Emerson, I don't know how long ago we did that, but we have yet to have a light go out.
Was it last year?
I think it was.
That's the thing, time flies so fast.
And we used to change those things out like candy. They just wouldn't last, but, and it's a better light.
It's a better light, and it's close to paying itself off already.
Yeah. And then finally, we got $400,000 from NDOT for the community crossing grant, so we can pave some more roads next spring. And then finally, we're getting ready to apply for more funding for some infrastructure projects. One is the Thompson Road sidewalks. Two is Elm Street, what they call a complete street project, where you replace all the sidewalks, driveway, or aprons, curbs, and the road. And then the Phase 2 of the Greenway, which I wanted to talk to you about. I put a letter up there, a
Yes.
draft letter, and I wanted to see if you folks would be supportive of the city going after more funding for the Phase 2. I'm not asking you financially to support the
Well,
Greenway.
no, of course we would. Or, I mean, I shouldn't say it before I speak, but we've been highly supportive of Phase 1. I think the whole thing, again, it's an infrastructure improvement, and it's something, as you pointed out in the previous meeting, that we're about the only city in the donut hole counties and Indianapolis that does not have a greenway or trail, a walking trail, and it puts us at a disadvantage to attract people that we want to live here.
So Phase 2 would pick up the trail at Emerson and Hornet at the Taco Bell and go east, and it would pass Hornet Community Center, veer to the right, and go along the tennis courts all the way to the property line, then turn east and go by the football field, and when it gets to the baseball field, it would veer left again, go behind the school, and come out onto Churchman Avenue. That would be Phase 2. So tonight, I wrote a generic letter, and I would just ask if you would support us going after this money. You could do that letter on your letterhead and get it back to me signed, so.
Not a problem.
So that's all I've got. Any questions?
Looks like Safeway's going well.
I think they're doing better. They were struggling. We did some work over there with trees and
Yeah.
It looks nice. I was
trees
there
and
yesterday.
plants and stuff, and we'll start maintaining that throughout the entire year. So, and the sidewalks there, we did not do those sidewalks. There's a new water main under those sidewalks, so, and that was really a blessing for us. Citizens put those sidewalks in, so. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, I know, we've seen it.
So that's all I got. Any questions?
No, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
appreciate the support.
Okay, the only thing I really had tonight, and I think I did mess up, I thought I had attached that, maybe I didn't attach it. Like I said, I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off this last week. But
Understand.
for the November City Council meeting, we have to do a yearly report on what we've accomplished and what we haven't. I will send that out when to work tomorrow, and let you guys look at it. If you have anything you want to add or take off, I'll do those things, but there wasn't a lot on it. I just hit on some of the stuff we had, and again, our misses were the standard ones, and that we just don't have the people or the infrastructure within an RDC to do a whole heck of a lot. I mean, that's the thing. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, to me, I guess the best thing we've done is we've paid down a ton of debt. And I came here, I think we owed like $4.5 million, and we're should be getting under 2 now. And we've been frugal with our money, so that when projects of opportunity have come along, we've been able to fund those, whether it be Churchman Avenue, the Greenway, the road over there by that office on St. Francis. We did that, in one of our early years, just to bring it up so we could maybe get some interest in that property, which I still think that property will be occupied in a year.
The road leading from the high school back to.
Yeah, that was another thing we did to improve safety for the community and the students and stuff. So we've done stuff, but I think we've been frugal with our money. I still think there's opportunities out there, but again, we all work, and it's hard to, the time you guys do give, it's surely appreciated. So I'll send that to you, and then we have to present a budget to the city council so that they can approve it. Now, it doesn't mean we're gonna spend it, but this is ideas where we want money directed, or we think we'd want to direct money. And tonight, I talked to Kevin, and I was gonna put this in the budget, not saying we have to do it, but I asked him the possibility of doing the 2 exit signs first. and doing those greenways. And again, I think looking, and you guys see it in front of you, and looking at the estimated cost, and that's just estimated, and he estimated high. It's something I think we could do, but it'd be one of those things too. I'd want to look at the availability of ensuring that we either have monies or something like that to maintain those. Because the last thing we want to do is put signs out, and then in 2 years, they've got graffiti spray painted on them. They're overgrown with weeds. Because I'll tell you, I had to run out to Plainfield Saturday morning because my wife had my son's football equipment. And you drive along 267, you see the city of Plainfield, you see nice planters, and you know what else I see? You see a lot of business going in out there. You see a lot of people stopping and eating.
Budget for the phase one of the Greenway, your share next year is 30,000.
Right.
So
So I thank you for reminding me. I'll make sure I get that in there. I'm gonna contact Jeff Peters too and have him write it up again, because again, I did it the first couple of years I was here, but I think he does a better job, and I'll be honest with you, he has more time right now than I do. So that's what I've kind of got in there, and again, I will send that out and let you guys look at it. If there's something that we need to change, I'll change it, but I plan to present that at the November 2nd, because you guys are done with your budget, right?
yes.
So they'll be free to hear us, and I'll make it quick so you guys don't have to suffer, and we'll get it presented for next year. So if anybody has anything, please.
I would just look at last year's and compare it
That's-
and
That's your
then add to it the,
benchmark.
Well, one of the things we did is when we refinanced, we got some money freed up from that, and our payments aren't quite as high, so we'll have a little extra. Plus, we gained assessed value in that we got Beech Grove Station.
right.
And, you know, we did lose money off of, I think, Lowe's and Walmart, because they did the box store thing. But again, Beech Grove Station kind of made up for that, and then Connectrix is growing, and some of the other areas. So financially, we're actually gaining a little bit of money, but who knows what's going to happen with St. Francis? You know, there might be an opportunity there. So that's why, you know, if we can put this in the budget and open dialogue with the city council and others, you know, maybe we can make this happen later in the year next year. Because like some of the stuff like plantings and stuff, we got a bunch of high schoolers that have to get service hours, you know, and it would be nothing to have them help, you know. You have the police involved, attract, so it'd be a community event on this, but we saw how we all liked the signs, and I just think it's something that we could start working our way towards. But again, that'll depend on next year and next year's board and what they feel, but that's where I was with my thoughts on this, so. Any other thoughts or observations?
Well done.
Robert, can you think of anything?
No, not any additional items. You know, just one thing that I have no idea about, but there are some properties that if we could, you know, purchase them as a blighted.
I know what you're talking about. I saw the post and the properties in question. I don't think it's a horrible idea, but I know from past experience, we had the
I didn't
previous,
see the post, so.
well, I'm just saying the previous administration thought it was a good idea to buy a toxic dump next to Amtrak, and $400,000 later, we finally got a good company in that developed it, but
No, I was thinking of some empty retail places and like near where I live, as you come in, Churchman Avenue, Southern.
yeah.
There's some places now, they're not empty, one of them may be, but.
That's gonna be, that intersection there, 25th and,
Right there by the nursing home.
yeah, but I'm talking about the intersection there, 25th and Perkins.
Yes.
Southern and Perkins and all that triangle. We're gonna, not this year, but next year, we're gonna apply for funding to make that a roundabout.
Right.
And will that.
That is a dangerous area.
Oh, well, yeah,
It is.
because the angles.
Part of it is that whoever owns the land on one property, there's bushes that obstruct your view, but.
Robert, what's on those properties? Anything? I mean, houses or-
Well, one of them is kind of like a used
For repair, I know what you,
repair for vehicles. I don't know what the one on the south end is. Is it even?
the one used to
that
be an
used to
old,
be gas
the
station.
one used to be an
Sunoco.
old Phillips
Yeah,
66, and I mean, I don't,
Sunoco.
that was back when my grandpa was alive, and I don't know how, that's gotta have been close at least 25 years.
I know the tanks are gone.
Well, they had to do that because that was when that law came back in like 2003,
Watched them
4.
when they pulled them.
Yes. But I don't know, is that even a going concern, or do people just park there because it's a place that they can park a truck? Now, obviously, the other one is a car repair place that's.
No, I don't know if that's in Beech Grove though. I don't think it is.
No, the one on the north side would not be in Beech Grove.
But you're talking about the old Phillips 66 station. I've heard people talk about that, but I heard the gentleman that owns it refuses to sell or do anything with it, so I don't know. I mean,
That was just some passing thoughts.
oh, well, I don't disagree. But, you know, it's just like, I mean, if we had true money, I'd love to take the Churchman Avenue strip mall and bulldoze the whole thing and try to redevelop it. Well, you know, the thing I worry about and I look around is we don't realize it, but we are in a changing economy, and it's changing rapidly. And what I'm talking about is if you look at the growth of Amazon, 10 years ago, there wasn't even really an Amazon. And now if you look at it, it's big, it's one of the biggest companies in the world, and you don't go to the store anymore and shop. You go online and shop, and it's there the next day or sometimes the same day. And so our economy, and if again you look what's being built, it's warehouses to house goods and not stores for people to shop. And so that's where I get worried about retail, is that redevelop, like say you redevelop that land, well, is there going to be retail to go in there? You know, because again, the landscape's changing on it. And, you know, I don't know if we have, and that's where the group that Diana's doing in the study with, I can't think of the guy from Ball State.
Terrell, is his name Terrell?
Yeah, Mr. Terrell. David, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's where that study and the comprehensive plan and all that, you know, and again, studying with what would go in here, because again, I think you got to look at your community, because, you know, like Zionsville is very artisty. You know, you drive down there, they got these little knick-knack shops and artsy shops, and then they got little cafes and stuff, and I'm not saying that would work here, it may not work here, but, you know, Fountain Square was very artsy, and it's become less artsy if you look at it. It's much more bars and trendy restaurants and upscale apartments along there now. And, you know, and then a lot of the art's been forced out because the value of the property around it's gone up, and, you know, nobody wants to rent to an artist anymore. But the old Woolworth store, remember, it used to have tons of art in it. And I guess that's where we are. So, I mean, you know, Main Street, Churchman Avenue, but Churchman Avenue, I mean, you could put $5 or $6 million into that whole thing, and I mean, it does though. I mean, you look at the businesses that are there; it's a flea market, and I mean, it's a flea market because they pay nothing in rent, but people get something out of it. But you know, the parking lots is not very good. I mean, it hasn't had any money put into it since it was a Kroger, and that was 20 years ago. And I'm not sure it's our function to put money into it, but you know, it's something that we got to figure out a way at some point in time to fix. I mean, I think it'd be great to put a Meijer or something in there just to bring another grocery store into Beech Grove. Anything else, gang?
I don't have anything.
If not, I've got 7:29, and I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
We are adjourned at 7:29. Thank you. We'll see you in November. Reminder, we do not have a meeting in December.